I want transgender people to be afforded absolute equality and fairness, right?
That's what I'm arguing.
There is nothing fair or equal about allowing transgender women who were born to male biological bodies to compete against women. That is not fair
and equal.
It's not. It's unfair and unequal. No one's disputing their right to identify as a woman. What I'm disputing is their right to identify as a woman and then unfairly compete against women born to female biological bodies. That is the debate.
Yeah,
it's not about being anti-transgender.
There are many topics that Piers Morgan and I could lock horns on, but this isn't one of them. This debate, this video, is about women's sport and what constitutes fair competition. It's not about whether or not transgender people should be allowed to use certain bathrooms, or if they should be able to join gender-specific non-competitive clubs, etc. Or as the British Olympic swimmer Sharon Davies puts it,
many people are actually saying, look, come on, we are not transphobic whatsoever, but we understand that transphobic men and women have gone through a really tough process and we very much support them. But actually, we also need to support female athletes as well.
In a nutshell, I find the arguments and logic that currently permit transgender women to compete against biological women to be remarkably flawed, and I'm convinced that unless quickly rectified, this will kill women's sport. The transgender woman Rachel McKinnon is the UCI Masters Track Championships Women's 35 to 44 Sprint Gold Medalist. The transgender woman Laurel Hubbard won the 2017 Australian International Women's Weightlifting 90 kilo and over division, and the transgender woman Hannah Mouncey competed in the AFL Victoria's Women's League. This is, so far as it stands, why I believe it is unfair to allow transgender women to compete against biological women. This is Selena Soul. She's 16 years old, is 5'6", weighs 115 pounds, and she's damn fast. She recently ran the SEAC Women's 55-metre dash in just 7.36 seconds. But because Terry Miller and Andrea Yearwood, who are both transgender women, so easily took first and second place, Selena was eliminated. The story made national headlines after Selena's mother made a formal complaint, and since then Selena has had to bravely explain why she feels cheated to countless news networks and critics.
I have no problem with them being a girl and wanting to be a girl. My issue is with CAC.
So the top 6 spots qualify for the New England meet, and I came in 8th place, and the 2 transgender athletes came 1 and 2. So if they weren't there, then my friend and I from another school would have been in those 2 spots and would have qualified.
And so here we have a very real example of a young, talented woman losing a potential scholarship and career due to this issue.
How does this personally affect you?
It personally affects me because I missed out on qualifying for further meets and showing off what I can do in front of college coaches and furthering my career in track.
Okay, so let's get to the crux already. Why are transgender women allowed to compete against biological women? Well, there seems to be 3 primary arguments, and in response to Piers bringing up Selena's situation, the sociologist Ellis Cashmore gave one of them.
The girl who came 8th lost out on qualifying for the state finals and a potential $200,000 scholarship because the 2 winners were transgender women who were just built so powerfully and were so fast she didn't have a chance.
And
that cannot be fair.
I'm not suggesting that there is an easy solution
What
to
is
this.
the solution then?
I think we have to embrace inclusivity.
What does that mean?
What that means is
about
that the
honour
person...
at the end of the day, the spirit of sport.
You can say all these things, Ellis, but what does it actually mean?
Let me answer the question then. Be silent. Inclusivity means that we assign the person to whatever event their present-day sex suggests they should compete in.
Okay.
So there's the first argument. Ellis and other proponents assert that people should compete as whatever their present-day sex is, which is to say, whatever they personally or the public at large consider them to be. As if we're talking chromosomes here, then, newsflash, they don't change. Now, to put it succinctly, this argument commits either an appeal to emotion or an appeal to popularity fallacy. If the proponents are saying that it should depend on an individual's feelings, then it's the former, and if they're saying that it should depend on public opinion, then it's the latter. In any case, notice that they're not offering a reason as to why it's fair to allow transgender women to compete against biological women.
We assign the person to whatever event their present-day sex suggests they should compete in.
Okay.
Now, putting aside the fact that public opinion varies significantly from country to country, we can expose the fallacious nature of this argument by applying one of my all-time favourite techniques, the reductio ad absurdum. If the majority believed that age was just a cultural construct, would this make it fair for Thor Bjornsson to compete as a senior? No. If the majority believed that weight categories are fat-shaming, would that make it fair for Anthony Joshua to compete as a featherweight? No, of course not. Or put it this way, the majority once believed that atheists, such as I, should be burnt at the stake, but that didn't make it fair, right, or logical, did it? Now, to be fair, this is the weakest of the three primary arguments, but it is indeed popular enough to warrant this response. And so now that we've consumed the lowest hanging fruit, let's go for the highest. The main argument offered, and the one that's referenced by institutions such as the Olympics, Commonwealth, and UCI Masters, is the assertion that what gives a man advantage over a woman is exclusively their recent levels of testosterone.
They say that you male to female transgender, that you need to have been doing hormone therapy for at least a year because the testosterone levels, they think, at that level need to come down to make it more even, because a lot of testosterone that's where guys get their big muscles from, and that's where you get it from.
So when a transgender woman competes, an important thing to realize is that she may be the same size as she was because of going through a male puberty. Her muscle mass has shrunk to female proportions.
To be clear, the IOC rules say that transgender women can only compete in women's sports after they have gone through a year of low testosterone due to hormone therapy. And that actually changes many biological characteristics, and especially those characteristics that are important for sport.
So there's the primary argument given, and again, it's endorsed by countless sport and athletic institutions. The IOC, for example, has ruled that transsexual women can compete as women so long as they identify as one and their levels of testosterone are under 10 nanomoles per litre, which, for the record, is still over double the average of a biological woman. But let's put this fact aside and still man the argument. Proponents assert that if a transgender woman has equal or lower levels of testosterone than the average biological woman, then they have no advantage.
You hear the critics that say being born male, Fallon, gives you a physical advantage over a female competitor. So that's, in your opinion, is not true.
Yeah, it's not just my opinion, that's the medical community's opinion. My testosterone levels are actually lower than any female that I've ever seen.
So bottom line, being born male doesn't give you a physical advantage competing in female MMA?
No, not at all. I'm actually at a disadvantage.
Now, if I'm honest, I don't just find this argument flawed, I find it utterly ridiculous. To steal an analogy from a friend, saying that transgender women should be able to compete against women so long as they identify as one and have testosterone levels lower than one is like saying that a Formula 1 car should be able to compete as a superbike so long as it identifies as one and has less fuel than one.
And David Coulthard takes the checkered flag, completing his 4 laps, 13 seconds quicker than Guy completed 3.
Now, of course, this analogy isn't perfect, since testosterone plays a bigger role in athletics than does fuel capacity in motorsport, but the point is that recent levels of testosterone isn't the be-all and end-all. Compared to a superbike, a Formula 1 car has much better traction, is more aerodynamic, has a lower centre of gravity, and has a significantly bigger engine. Just as compared to a woman, a man, on average, has more hemoglobin in their blood, a significantly bigger heart, more lung capacity, greater bone density, less fat, a more advantageous distribution of their fat, a faster metabolic rate, and significantly more fast-twitch muscle fibers. Or as Joe Rogan eloquently puts it,
it's like, do you know a woman who's got a hand that looks like that?
Yeah.
Find one. Because if I took estrogen, I'd still have these. Mm-hmm. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's just not. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says.
Now, I could continue on this for hours, but for the sake of brevity, I'll keep things short by emphasising just one of the advantages that men have over women. When asked why men outperform women in most athletic events, Jamie Pringle, a physiologist who's trained many Olympic champions, said the following. The most consistent observation about the difference is that women have lower total mass of hemoglobin in their blood compared to men, and less blood in total. This means less capacity to transport oxygen in the blood, which, when combined with the heart's ability to pump that blood and the muscles' capacity to extract the oxygen from it, is a key determinant of aerobic fitness and endurance. And so, the assertion that reducing a transgender woman's testosterone to that of the average biological woman will create a level playing field is objectively, scientifically, bogus. If Joe was to reduce his testosterone, he would still have his enormous hands, just as Rachel still has a small pelvis and Laurel still has a large number of fast-twitch muscle fibers. And finally, the third most prominent argument given, and one that was also voiced by Ellis to Piers and Susan, is that sport has never been equal.
There is something of a myth of fairness in sport. Sport has never been fair. You bought into that myth, so have a lot of other people, but let's face it, if I wanted to be a jockey, I couldn't be. Nature endows her gifts unevenly in society. I couldn't be a jockey. I couldn't be a basketball player. You might make the cut in basketball. You're what, 6'1", something like that. So you might just about make it, but you'd still be a small guy on the NBA circuit.
Or as Cynthia McFadden expressed it on the Megyn Kelly show.
I think there's a myth of an even playing field. I really respectfully disagree. You know, there are all kinds of reasons that people have advantages. Somebody's parents can give them year-round training. Somebody else is really, really tall and someone's really, really short. I mean, there's no such thing as a level playing field. You are the gender you identify with.
Now, while I disagree with this argument, I personally find it to be the most compelling, as it's true. Nature endows her gifts unevenly, and so there's no such thing as a truly level playing field. But what do we do about this? We could, as many proponents suggest, make all sports and athletics mixed gender. But if we did this, then we can kiss goodbye to the vast majority of female athletes.
2,000 men in the world at the moment that can run 100 metres faster than the greatest female sprinter of all time. 2,000 men.
1,500 of the top male tennis players could beat Serena Williams.
Within the athletic world, it's a well-known fact that in most events men simply outperform women by a margin of roughly 10%, and in events that are strength-based the margin is significantly greater. Ryan Kennelly's world record bench press, for example, is over double that of Becca Swanson's. What's more, if we're going to have mixed gender competition, then why not also have mixed age? I mean, nature endows her gifts unevenly, right? Some people develop quicker than others, and so let's do away with age restrictions and have Thor compete as a senior. And while we're at it, let's dispose of weight categories too, because some people have heavier bones, a wider frame, and retain more water weight than others. You see, when taken to its logical conclusion, this solution produces absurd results. We have to draw the line somewhere.
There's no, even playing field. You know, there's nothing you do about that. But one thing we can do is we can keep women from getting beaten up by men.
Anyhow, that's why I'm opposed to allowing transgender women to compete against biological women. The arguments offered are based on emotion and politics, are scientifically and logically erroneous, or, when taken to their logical conclusion, produce absurd and unworkable outcomes. Now, if you think I'm wrong on this topic and have a better argument than those just covered, then please do let me know, as if I'm wrong, I want to know it. But so far, I'm really not impressed. I don't want to see the day when women's athletics is dominated by Y chromosomes, but without a change in policy, that is precisely what's going to happen. As always, thank you kindly for the view, and an extra special thank you to my wonderful patrons and those of you who have supported the channel via merchandise and PayPal. On this note, due to the nature of this topic, I doubt this video will remain monetized for long, and so, thank you all again for supporting me on Patreon. It's turbulent times, and your support helps keep my ship afloat. Anyhow, I'll leave you with another gem from Joe.
There's so many women that used to be men that transition to being women that are now dominating these sports, and these women feel like they're being fucked over, like weightlifting. There was this Australian weightlifter who's a trans woman who's competing as a woman and is fucking breaking records left and right. And everybody's like, this is crazy. She's an inspiration. No, she's a guy! She used to be a guy, and now she's breaking these women's records. Like, what are we doing? This is crazy.
Yeah.